Welcome to the Disc Golf Show. I am Nick, and this is episode 11 of the 2026 season. First off, happy St. Patrick's Day, whatever you may be doing today. And this show, as always, is brought to you in part by our sponsors, the first being our local pro shop, Final Nine Sports. If you're in Sacramento, Northern California area, they have two locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rocklin. And always support local. We always suggest you do that. However, if you're unable to find what you're looking for, we do have a remedy, and that is Disc Golf Deals USA. If you go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow, you can save 10% off of your entire order. Some exclusions do apply, but most everything on there, get that 10% savings. Let's get into the news part of this episode, guys. We don't have a ton of topics. However, what we do have, there is a bit to talk about. First off, disc golf. We know that it's connected to baseball in a few ways, mainly because of Dylan Cease, but it's showing its face again up in baseball. And that's because DGPT has made an appearance at a Savannah Bananas versus the Party Animals game. So it's always good to see the cross showing, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to remember it. The two different sports coming together and highlighting each other. Obviously, the Savannah Bananas and the Party Animals are those entertainment baseball teams. They do dances, backflips, all those crazy types of pitches and entertainment value for your viewing pleasure at those type of baseball games. But having disc golf getting connected to these sports, however small ways they may be, is always good. So it's really cool to see those things still happening, and hopefully they continue to do so with not only baseball, but other larger mainstream sports. As for the DGPT, they did also recently finalize a multi-year partnership with the All Women's Sports Network, AWSN, that involving an increased global distribution of FPO coverage. It is a 2-year deal for the 2026 and 2027 seasons. And, hopefully after that, they'll be able to continue that partnership. It's going to be on multiple platforms in over 60 countries. If you would like to learn more, we will have a link down below. All right, guys, we're on to the biggest topic. This is the one that I've been most excited about viewing-wise, tournament-wise, because it's a new venue, and that is the Big Easy in Louisiana at Parc des Familles. There was quite a bit that happened. Most of it was near the end, but one being a couple of the things that people had brought up was signal. Now, this park is brand new. It was thrown together quite recently, and they do have plans on infrastructure and increasing the signal that is provided for large tournaments like this in the future. But yes, we always talk about signal. We always talk about quality. And as much as I agree that it's not the greatest watching grainy footage streaming, but when it comes to disc golf expanding, these are things that we're going to have to deal with, especially on property that people are investing in the sport, not knowing what their ROI is going to be. These cities and counties that are allowing disc golf to take up some of this property, which not take up in a negative way, but allow them to use this property, especially for a first-time large event. They don't know what the influx of people or how many people are going to be there, and what kind of windfall will happen for the city or the areas there, or how much money will come in while people visit for the tournament. And these are things that they're testing as well. We have to be understanding when it comes to this stuff. This isn't something that you're going to have a city or county just dump tons and tons of money to make it perfect right out the gate. they're learning as well. That is one thing that I've learned in dealing with design of courses is, and dealing with government, local government. They're taking a risk because they don't know what they're getting into. If they haven't experienced it, they don't know, they don't understand. So I think on the signal issue, yes, I understand the frustration, but you know, we're getting to watch a new venue with live coverage. So appreciate what you do get. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. I think that with it being so wooded, this is one thing that I did notice. It looks like with the amount of trees and different alleys that were, and not even very apparent alleys or fairways, I think the amount of clearing that happened inside those large trees still allowed for quite a bit of wind. I think that causes not only the already tight fairways and low ceilings to be difficult, but you add wind into it, it makes it almost impossible. There were 2 great shots, or sorry, when I talk about the fairways and how, so I've talked about this with multiple people. My take on this property is, yes, it's a work in progress. You're never going to get it 100% right out of the gate. But when the discussion was, oh, 2 great shots get you to circle 2, I personally disagree with that. I think that 2 great shots should get you an eagle chance. I mean, 2 great shots. Those are 2 dimes. Should get you a long eagle chance, but it should give you a very easy birdie. A great and a good shot gives you a chance for birdie, an easy par. I think these making it so difficult that you're doing it just for the intention of making those good rounds being much lower is a tough. It's a drastic change. I think if you're going to try to implement that change to where the great rounds are going to be 5 under, then and you'll have these one-offs of double digits, then you're going to need to slowly get there, because that drastic change is a harsh reality for the competitors, and it's an adjustment for the viewers too, because viewers like to see these high or very low scoring rounds. So I thought it was a great property. I think the track is awesome. I think there are definitely things that need to be addressed on it, but I'm not the one who plays them. So, from a viewer's perspective, I think that not having extremely apparent fairways or intended fairways makes it tough, especially for coverage purposes. But I enjoyed it. It's a great change in venue, and yeah, I thought it was cool. A few bad things that happened prior to the event starting was a couple dropouts. We had Paul Macbeth drop due to illness. Cole Dolan withdrew due to still recovering from being sick. I think those are tough calls, especially at an event that's the inaugural event on the DGPT, but they're the smart calls, because you're looking for being able to play long term and not just oh, I want to be at this event because it's the first time it's being held, maybe I can be the first winner. So tough calls, but shout out to them for making those calls. Also, big ups to Silas Schultz. He made it on a feature card, one of the feature cards, first round in his home state. So I think he also did really well at this event. There's a lot of pressure, not only at being in your state, or again with Matty O too, but adjusting to that type of support and feeling while you're there at such a big event. Silas Schultz is one of my favorite content providers, and I see his ceiling being much, much higher than what he's currently at. And I hope to see him continue to improve because he held his own definitely for the first, second rounds. He had a little trouble in the third round, but you know, overall, I think he did a wonderful, wonderful job while at this event in his hometown or home state. Holland Handley started out strong, and she was actually able to hold on throughout the event. She did kind of dominate it. She kind of walked it in at the end, even though walking it in at this course is a strange way to to state it because anything can happen. But she had enough of a lead, and she had a solid enough gameplay that I don't think that it was a major problem coming down to the end of the round. So big shout out to Holland Handley for that victory, the very first victor at the Big Easy Open. So shout out to Holland. Again, now we're getting to the big stuff. Everybody's calling it what? Why sticky? Stickgate. I'm calling it Brushgate. The question about this is, again, this is the final round. You have Ricky that had a lead going into the final round over Gannon and Isaac. And he's a extremely fierce competitor. He's a ridiculously good putter. He's an insane scrambler. But I don't care whether it's the heat of the moment or not. You need to know what you're doing while you're there. You're one of the top players in the game. And doing something questionable without bringing it up to the card is a bad look. I'm not saying he did it intentionally or on purpose, but I think any questionable decision about, cleanup or moving anything definitely needs to be brought up to the card. Again, this is a 2020, hindsight is 2020, and, we can bring up all these things afterwards saying, what should have been done. However, you have to allow for mistakes, however bad or silly they may be. And the fact that he did move, and obviously on coverage, when it goes replay, it's quite apparent that the brush that was moved, the sticks that were moved, were in front of his lie. And, with a lot of the rules changes, these players need to stay up on those changes, but it wasn't a great look. Apparently Isaac and Luke did not see it because they were on another side of the fairway. That's a whole other issue with design, is having such a wide fairway can cause issues in addressing things like this. Burr did bring it up, and Jeff Springs ended up bringing it up at the next tee after hole 16. So on coverage, you saw Jeff Springs address it, Jeff Springs. And I think one of the questions I had for you guys in this is Jeff Springs able to make the call? In past, specifically with Kristen, you had officials making these calls, just addressing it. Even with the European Open with Nico and the official making the call, not the card. I think that's definitely something that should be in place, especially at this level. And bringing it up, but allowing the card when half the card didn't even see it. Why in this instance was the official, or could Jeff Springs not have been an official in a way that he could say, hey, you moved him. That's going to be a stroke. Just a question. Again, maybe there were some changes in rules or anything like that kept that from being able to be an option. But it was just something I thought about is, well, he's bringing it up and he's the man for the DGPT. So why couldn't he, being the one to bring it up, I'm guessing he has official capabilities, then make the call right there for the card. Here and there, it didn't get called, and they moved on to hole 16. Hole 16, Gannon sinks an insane 100+ foot putt to tie or to maintain a one-stroke deficit on Wysocki, and they went into hole 18. And for me, I feel like karma came back. I think, again, not intentionally. He may not have done it intentionally, but karma righted the ship, and Gannon was able to make up that stroke. Again, Wysocki sank a long putt to make it to go into playoff. So it was definitely an entertaining event, especially there near the end. And then even with the playoff. Listen, if you're going to have a playoff, there's infrastructure that needs to be set in place. And I get also that after the final card passes through these holes, a lot of these spotters or officials move on because, oh, well, that's the final card. I don't need to be here anymore. However, once a playoff has been announced, there should be that the holes used for the playoff should be littered with spotters, especially when there's so much OB involved. There were multiple spots of OB involved on hole 1, and luckily it didn't go on to another hole. It was decided on that hole 1, but the issue being there was no official there as to where Ricky went out. Now, from the coverage, to me, it didn't look like he crossed over by the basket. So when he did go out, the direction from where he came from his throw, it did not look like there was any. It looked like he was short of the tree, where some people said he went around the tree. I don't think there was no way from where the disc landed. Again, you're going to argue for your play, your lie, and where your spot is. But I think integrity comes in here. I think karma came back, and he had a very long putt to try to push it onto a second playoff hole, and he was unable to make that putt. Burr's putt was a 10-foot putt, 12-foot putt, and Burr ended up coming out on top for this first inaugural event, the Big Easy Open. Big shout out to Gannon. Again, I'm sure he was extremely frustrated with not only the brush issue, but also this issue where the disc went out, because he kind of had some frustration there going, come on, man, just be honest with yourself type of an attitude. But in the post-round interview, he did say, respect goes out to Ricky. He's a fierce competitor, and, it pushes the game. It pushes his abilities. It pushes his concentration. And, he ended up coming out on top. So shout out to him. Ricky did make a post addressing accountability and his statement, quote unquote, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the integrity of the game and would never intentionally break a rule to gain an advantage. So obviously there's a lapse in your mental state sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment. I get it. But yeah, it was an entertaining finish to this event. Not only it was exciting to see a new venue, and the way the course looked, how the players adjusted through the 3 days was amazing, because you had, I think the first hot round was 6, I think, somewhere around there, 5, something like that. And the winner being 12 under for a 3-round event. That's unheard of in disc golf, really. So, yeah, Ricky shot a 10 down in round 2, which is ridiculous at this course. But they were figuring it out. They were figuring out the lines that they could cheat up and over to get a better chance, because maybe the up and over was just as good of a lie as the down the pipe. So it was really interesting. I think this location and event is going to definitely improve in the future, and hopefully it stays on the tour, because it's just a new variation for disc golf, because we know we like those open courses, we like wooded courses. This is a definitely a different style course, and I hope to see it in the future, guys. All right, as for this, leads us to the question of the episode. This is kind of, it's basically related to the issues. Question of the episode: have you ever had to make a tough call on someone during a competitive round? What call was it, and how did it go? You know, a lot of times in events that I've played in, sometimes you get people who are just, hey, just a heads up, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. That's a wonderful way to bring it up, especially to new players who haven't played in competitive play. And yeah, have you ever had to actually make that call where you're going to, that was a foot fault, man, you know, or you took too long, or you fell forward after your putt and you're inside circle one, you know, warning, yes, maybe it was just a warning, or did you end up having to make a call where it added a stroke to the players? Let me know, and hopefully it wasn't too harsh of a situation. Before we move on to gear and equipment, guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, that like button, share, notifications, all the goods. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Moving on to gear and equipment, this segment is brought to you by Disc Golf Deals USA. Go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. Save 10% off of your entire order. Some exclusions do apply, but bags, carts, all those big ticket items, baskets, save that 10%. It adds up. We did have a few approved molds this last week. The first being actually on March 13th. It was from Hooligan Discs. The rope, which is retooled, so it's a retooled rope, was approved on March 13th. And moving on to March 16th, yesterday, we had 4 discs approved. First being from Negative, which is a kind of a new one for me, I feel like, called the Void. All the links to these discs will be down below. Climo Discs actually had 2 molds approved. The Cliff, which you've probably seen on social media, the CDG-0326-P putter. It is in honor of the Cliff Stevens disc golf course where Ken Climo started playing. So keep your eyes peeled for that, as well as the Coast from Climo Disc Golf. So that one's coming your way soon as well. And then a local manufacturer, AGL, otherwise known as Above Ground Level, had the Juniper approved. So shout out to those new molds. Let me know if you're going to try any of those. If you do like any of those manufacturers or heard more about them, let me know what you think. We do have some recent and some upcoming releases. Prodigy recently announced their line of Signature Series discs, 12 players, 12 discs. They're coming in colorful swirled finish of 500 Spectrum or vivid bursts of 300 fractal plastics. These are made in the USA, and the artwork on them looks really cool, and it is by Kelly Cobb Baber. They will be available everywhere on April 2nd, so if you are a fan of Prodigy or want to support those pros on their teams, again, those players, 12 players, keep your eyes peeled for that April 2nd. Discraft prototype Aries was recently announced, and retailer pre-order actually had already started on March 13th, but global release will actually be on April 3rd. So again, if you're a Discraft fan and a Paul Macbeth fan, stay tuned for that. Meridian Discs recently teased an announcement for March 18th, tomorrow. So I'm curious as to what that will be, and I will let you know next episode. And DGPT slabs by Brixton were announced, and they are going to be going for $25, and they were there at the Big Easy. I'm hoping that these will be some products that will be available outside of just at the Big Easy. They look really cool. Signed cards, one card, you know, in a slab. But yeah, I mean, you know, Brixton's announcing a lot of products, and to me, again, they need to make sure that they're in conversation with the people that are pre-ordering their products, you know, with their DGPT Brixton collab hobby boxes that are still on their way in production due to some issues that arose. that sounds right. But I do like to see more products coming from them, as much as it can be frustrating waiting on a product for 6 months. You know, they're learning, they're building, and hopefully these things get worked out moving forward. Last but not least, for products, guys, the most important item that you use on every shot are your shoes. And we like to support those companies that support disc golf. And those two companies we always go to, Ideo Sports. Again, the links for these companies will be down below. Ideo Sports with the Syncrasy V2, which is their low top, and the Brawler high top, and Vessi shoes. These are two different style shoes, and it depends on your personal take or your style, I guess. But yeah, check them out, Vessi and Ideo Sports. As for upcoming events, we do have a few. March 20th to 22nd, this coming weekend, the Cherry Blossom Open 2026, which is a Go Throw event in Conyers, Georgia, at the Iron Hoof Disc Golf Course. Again, March 20th, 22nd. And then the next DGPT event, March 27 to 29, is the 2026 Queen City Classic presented by Another Round Disc Golf, and that is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And again, these couple local events that I've been shouting out are coming up this week in 2 days. If you are in the Sacramento area, Northern California area, the Sacramento Kings is having a disc golf night at Golden One Center during their Kings or after their Kings vs 76ers game. If you get a ticket via the link below or some of the links you may have seen online on socials, you get a free hat and you get a chance to, or not a chance, you'll be able to shoot a free throw on an NBA court. Also involved in this is OTB Discs. They have joined the support, and I believe they're doing some bag or some giveaway items for those that are going to attend. So again, March 19th, this Thursday, Kings versus 76ers Disc Golf Night at Golden One Center. And then at the end of this month, on Sunday, March 29th, we have a fundraiser tournament, Little Oaks Fundraiser Tournament, and that is going to be held at Sacramento Adventist Academy in Carmichael, California. It is a fundraiser event that is a bring your own partners doubles event, and if you feel the need, all the funds are going to be going to a company called Maranatha, which they do missions over to other countries, and this one being to Zambia. And so they're going to be providing medical and dental equipment and necessities to that community. So if you are able to support, it will be much appreciated. All right, guys, let's move on to the mailbag, the last segment of the show, where we bring you some products and videos that we suggest you check out. Product for this episode is Dino discs. And we don't do a ton of manufacturers on the product review. However, this is because it's a great lightweight disc company, very lightweight disc company to get kids started out in disc golf. It's dinodiscs.com. The link will be down below as always. But yeah, if you're looking at ways to include your youngins, the little ones, check these out. They may have them at your local pro shop, but if not, go check them out. Dino discs. And then as for the video, guys, again, if you missed it, or even if you didn't, go check it out again. The last 3 holes of the final round of the Big Easy. Watch that drama unfold. The link to that DGPT video is down below. And yeah, guys, it was a crazy finish to that event, but we have a lot more coming your way through the rest of the season. So I'm sure there's going to be much more to talk about. That brings us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much. And at the end of the show, we do like to give you some ways to save some money. One of those being Upper Park Disc Golf. If you're looking for a new bag, use code DiscGolfShow. Save some money there. And again, shout out to sponsor of the show, Disc Golf Deals USA. One last time, discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. Get that 10% off. Some exclusions do apply, but bags, baskets, all those big ticket items, or a large order of discs, save that 10%. It adds up. And thank you to Finalizes Sports, our local pro shop. If you are in the Sacramento, Northern California area, go check them out. They have 2 locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rocklin. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any items or subjects or opinions, send them to me at discgolfshow@gmail.com. I would love to hear them and include some items that you might want to hear me talk about on the next upcoming episode. Other than that, hit that subscribe button, that like button, share, notifications, all the goods, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Have a good one.